Married. Wife's sister is married too. Her and her husband have a 12-year-old boy and 8-year-old girl. Girl is playing in the backyard with her brother. Brother goes inside to get them drinks. Sister vanishes by the time he comes back outside. Family goes nuts. She is missing for 2 days. Spend 2 sleepless days helping them search for her in the woods and fields behind their house. Suddenly shows up outside the house. Wife happened to be there at the time. Calls everyone to get them home. Her family takes her to the ER. Filthy, stinks, a little weak but otherwise okay. She doesn't remember where she was. Bring her home after a couple days. Of course her family clings to her the next week or so. Eventually things go more or less back to normal. Girl is a little off though. Very clingy to her mom. No one really pays attention, figuring she is just upset after all that happens. After about 4 weeks of her being back, her mom collapses on her way to work. They take her to the ER. Doctor says she is extremely fatigued. She said everything was pretty normal, she slept a lot and ate right. Spends a night in the hospital and is released. Collapses again, this time at work. Spends more time in the hospital. Doctor says she might need to take some time off work. She agrees. Her and her husband decide to take a vacation. Ask if we could keep the kids for a couple weeks while they were away. Of course. Her mom is really reluctant to leave the girl. Not surprising given what happened. Kind of weird about it though. In tears as they are dropping them off with us. Just over the girl though. The boy is already upstairs playing Xbox. Don't think much of it. Couple days pass. Girl is a little strange. Doesn't want to play games with us or watch movies with her brother. Just kind hangs out with my wife. Not doing really anything, just sitting with her. Write it off given what happened. Her mom is calling sometimes 10 times a day. Sometimes screaming and crying to talk to her. Brother-in-law apologizes for her bothering us at all hours of the night. After a couple more days, brother-in-law calls. Says she is really sick, throwing up. Thinks she probably ate something bad and they'll likely cut the trip short and come home as soon as she is feeling a little better. Mentions they haven't done anything anyway because she just stays in the hotel room crying to go home to their daughter. Calls back the next day. Says she felt a little better and they were going to go ahead and stay until their original flight home. Late in the second week with the kids. Wife is coming in from the garden. Staggers a little. Falls to her knee. Made sure she was alright and asked if she wanted to go to the doctor or something. She said she just felt a little lightheaded and was fine. Insists she spends some time in bed. Little girl wants to sit in the bedroom with her. Explain she isn't feeling well and needs some rest. Kid is rather hateful about it. Whatever. Made the little shit spend the night downstairs watching cartoons and shit with her brother and I. Wife slept for hours. Wife spends the rest of the week not feeling so great, always a little dizzy. Brother and sister-in-law finally come home. Pick up their kids. Happy to see them go. Wife cries. Hey, it's not like we can't see whenever we want. She is really weird about it. Spends most of the night crying. Next day. Wife is insane. Wants to call off work and go to her sister's house. Totally not like her. Things get to the point I physically restrain her to keep her from going over there. Tell her she has been feeling crappy the last few days and needs to spend some time relaxing. All evening/night we fight and bicker about it. Next day she wakes up. She wants to call off again. If you feel good enough to go over there, why don't you just go to work and then visit them on the way home? She agrees. We go to work. We work in the same building. She ends up getting sick and throws up. We go home together. She is shaking and can't keep anything down. We go to the hospital. Doctor says she is showing symptoms of withdrawal and asked if she drank heavily. Never drank before. They drug test her. Nothing. She has a really rough night. Feels a lot better the next day. Wife's sister gets sick again. Collapses one evening after work. Hit her head on the edge of the kitchen table. Spends several days in the hospital. Little boy wakes his dad up one night while she is in the hospital. Said the little girl got out of bed and went downstairs. Brother-in-law freaks out and begins searching for her. She is laying in the yard. Freezing. He immediately takes her to the ER. She spends a couple days in the hospital with her mom. Eats like a moose. Perks right up after a couple days. Vaguely remembers the past month or so. Acts totally normal from then on. Her mom stops getting sick. Wife is around her without getting sick. She plays games with me and her brother when they're over. I don't think it was their daughter that came back the first time. I wouldn't venture to guess what it was, but it did something to her mom and my wife while it was around them. It made them sick, weak, and created some sort of dependence on it. Scares the hell out of me.
Sounds like possession. Or a changeling.
What the hell is a changeling? I'm not much of an /x/ guy, might need to dumb it down for me.
Changelings are spirits/fairies that will steal children and replace them with their own. They tend to be sickly and creepy, but otherwise you can't tell the difference. The only thing that's weird about it is the fact that they returned her.
Creature takes girl. Feeds on the women. Food source is hospitalized. Creature has no choice but to leave. Returns girl to hold its place until it returns.
That is really creepy. Is there somewhere I can go to read up this?
Google White Wolf, Changeling.
Weirdly enough, this poster is right. White Wolf really researched the hell out of mythologies to make that game system.
Could someone give me a general explanation of what a changeling is? I've heard the term but never knew what it was.
It was said that fairies would steal newborn babies, usually, and in their place leave one of their own, but sometimes they would steal a baby and leave an enchanted, glamour magic, log or rock in its place that would look like the baby for a short time. They would say you can tell if a baby is a changeling because they aren't able to develop speech even though there are no obvious signs as to why.